Massachusetts, alimony is basically support one spouse pays to the other to maintain what you'll hear as the marital standard of living. Now, all that really means is that during the marriage, how you lived, the type of home you lived in, the type of car you drove, the vacations you could take. The whole idea is with alimony to allow you to continue living in the same manner. Now, in reality, we all know that's not actually going to happen, because when you take a single family unit and divide that, we're talking about extra household expenses, extra utilities. We're talking about two separate households. So some people come in with the expectation that everything is going to stay the exact same. That's a little bit out of reality. They try, and that's the point of alimony, is to try to help you maintain that standard of living, but things are going to probably have to change. Now, how that's calculated is typically you take the higher earner spouse income, you take the lower earning spouse income, and you subtract it. And what you get is the difference. And that difference, basically add on a calculation, which is somewhere usually at this point between 22 and 28%. And that is the number for alimony. Now, once we add children into the mix, it gets a lot more complicated, because then you have to determine how that calculation works between child support and alimony, making sure that both parties are still able to provide for themselves and their own expenses. So it's a complicated issue, but just as simple as it can get, you basically take the higher number, subtract the lower number from it, and that difference, we're going to do a little calculation and then divide by 52, and that's the number that you will be paying or you will be receiving on a weekly basis. So most people have heard of the term alimony, and it's a common question we get when people call in of, what am I either going to have to pay in alimony, or what can I potentially get in alimony? Now, what people don't realize is there is a lot of different types of alimony. The most typical one that you'd hear of is called general alimony. Surprise, surprise. And what that basically is just a calculation that goes in from the higher earning spouse to the lower earning spouse. You do a little math, and then you get that amount. There's alimony that you can get to basically help you get back up on your feet if you need to get an apartment or you need to go back to school. There's a certain type of alimony you can ask for to help you during that time. Let's say during your marriage, you put yourself in a situation to help the other person advance their career, and you've paid for them to go to school or do something that advances their career that you're not going to get the benefit from after the marriage. That is another type of alimony that you can ask for to basically be reimbursed for what you put into their career that you're not then going to be able to benefit from. So there's a lot of different types. Make sure you ask your attorney about what you could potentially qualify, because more than likely there's something in there that you can look for. So if you're hoping to be able to get alimony, or maybe you're on the other side and you're afraid that you're going to have to pay out alimony, the things that you can look at are really, what is the difference of your income? The closer the income is, the less likely that alimony is going to be awarded. The longer the marriage is, the more likely alimony is going to be awarded. So there's so many different factors. In fact, I believe there's close to 20 of them that a judge looks at to determine whether alimony will be awarded. But if you feel that you want to keep the door open, you basically just, when you file that complaint for divorce, there's a little box that you check off that says, I'm looking for some support. And as long as you've done that, you've opened the door to ask for it. So once that alimony is actually awarded within a judgment, a common question is, how do I modify it, or how do I potentially terminate it? And one of the most important things, if you're asking yourself that question, is to pull up your separation agreement and look for the terms. And it's a little complicated, but look for the terms of whether or not your alimony provision merged or survived. Now, if it merged, that means it became part of your divorce judgment, which is able to be modified. If it survived, that means you can't do anything with it until it actually runs out according to your separation agreement. So that's one of the first things we'll look at if somebody comes in and says, I want to either modify or terminate. Can you? And that's important to know even if you're headed into a divorce, because you want to make sure that your alimony clause is being put in that right category. So let's just pretend that it merged so that it's able to be modified. Essentially, you'd file something called a complaint for modification in Massachusetts, and you'd ask for it to be either modified or terminated. Now, there's a lot of reasons why it can be modified or terminated, but usually there has to be a substantial change in circumstances. That is the magic words that a judge is going to be looking for to determine whether or not your alimony can change. And that could be that somebody's income has significantly changed. So maybe you're paying alimony and you've lost your job. That's a substantial change. Maybe the person that you're paying alimony to hit the jackpot and they don't need your money anymore. That would be a substantial change in circumstances. So termination is a little bit different because there's a statute and the language in your agreement can be written in ways that your ability to terminate alimony might be very different from somebody else who is paying alimony. So the language of your agreement really dictates when and how alimony can terminate or be modified. So if alimony is a major concern for you within your divorce, whether you're looking to get it, whether you're looking to not have to pay it, maybe you know you're gonna have to pay it, but you wanna try to minimize that. Or maybe you've already been told that you have to pay alimony and now you're looking to modify or terminate that. If that's the case, feel free to give us a call. Within our strategy session, we can walk through, look at your divorce agreement, look at how it was written, and see if you're in a situation to be able to ask to change it. So just give us a call. We're more than happy to help you out.